Sweet. Can't wait to play this. It's been almost 5 years since I last played this game. As I can say, I beat the whole thing. December 2019, that's what it said in my save state. And I want to play with the commentaries. I want to find out all the secrets and details. It's gonna be so fun. It's gonna be so fun.
Rise and shine, Mr. Freeman. Rise and shine. Not that I wish to imply you have been sleeping on the job. No one is more deserving of a rest, and all the effort in the world would have gone to waste until... well, let's just say your hour has come again. The right man in the wrong place can make all the difference in the world. So wake up, Mr. Freeman. Wake up and smell the ashes.
Skibbity toilet. It's so skibbity. So skibbity.
Skibbity.
I didn't see you get on.
Where? Interact where? Where?
No matter how many times I've been relocated, I never get used to it. Well,
I'm Gabe Newell, and welcome back to Half-Life 2. It's been a long 20 years since its release.
Gabe.
In this anniversary update, we've tried to respond to as many of the community's requests as possible. And while this might not be the absolute #1 request from fans, I often hear how much people would like a commentary mode, so we're excited to finally make that happen. Not only was it a challenge to remember many of the details of Half-Life 2's development, but it's not easy to crack open decades-old computer code and wonder what the hell you were thinking way back then. Along with the dev commentary, we've cleaned up a bunch of old bugs and tried to leave things in better shape than we found them. And at least this time, we had the luxury of knowing how things turned out in the end. To listen to a commentary node, put your crosshair over the floating commentary symbol and press your use key. To stop a commentary node, put your crosshair over the rotating node and press the use key again. And please, let me know what you think. You can reach me at gaben@valvesoftware.com. Thanks.
Will do.
Have fun.
Turn up. There we go.
Physics objects. It might be hard to remember it now, but back when Half-Life 2 came out, small objects in games, like these bits of trash, were usually static. As in, they didn't really move, or if they did, it was in a very simple way.
Whoa.
If you were lucky, they might break apart into some sprites if you hit them. One of the goals for this initial train station section was to really make it clear to players that these kinds of things were properly, physically, actually being simulated in Half-Life 2. They could be picked up, dropped, thrown, broken, moved by other forces, you name it. Here we're starting with just a small thing, showing that trash is being blown by the arrival of the train, or, more specifically, an invisible volume that's triggered by the player leaving the train.
Train station. The beginning of a Half-Life
Charlie
game is a
Brown.
big job to do. We have
That's
to
the
introduce
great
players
pumpkin.
to a new world while teaching them how to interact with it. Players need to quickly grasp what's happening, who the key players are, what threats they face, and how they fit into it all. Above all else, it has to be as fun and interactive as possible. Nailing this takes a lot of iteration and playtesting, especially on the small moments that make up a bigger picture of the game. In this section, we'll highlight some key moments,
It moves.
game design problems, and a few playtests where things didn't quite go as planned.
All right, I'm moving.
I thought so much of city.
Metro Cop shoving citizens. We've only walked a few feet and we're already got problems to solve. We're introducing the Metro Cop, an enemy that eventually we're going to ask players to kill, and giving you a glimpse of the world they're stepping into. It's a simple, clear moment that shows the relationships between the Metro Cops and citizens, and by extension, the player.
Hey.
At the same time, we decided to reinforce the existence of the core physics simulation, showing the way in which NPCs can casually interact with objects in the world. Seeing something like a suitcase knock into another and dislodge was pretty novel back then. These moments at the train station, where we combined multiple goals, were the most successful. They felt natural, like the game wasn't pausing just to teach you a lesson.
Hey, phone call for yo. Pick it up.
Sweeping Vortigaunt. Another key moment of storytelling, and another nod to the physics system.
Why did the audio sound
Here,
weird?
we're showing how Vortigaunts fit into this new world, which is a big shift from their Half-Life 1 role as enemies. Like so many moments in the train station, the Sweeping Vortigaunt came from our constant hunt for ways to show characters interacting naturally with the physics system. Why just tell players Vortigaunts are friendly now, when you can show one casually sweeping the floor and knocking around some simulated objects? Nothing signals, hey, don't shoot me this time around, like someone willing to tidy up.
Shift.
Welcome to City 17.
I don't know if I can run yet.
Citizens. When it came time to design the human citizens of City 17 and the world outside the city, we chose to include a variety of races, ages, and genders. This not only provided narrative context for the Combine's enslavement of all of humanity, but it was natural storytelling. To achieve our world-building and storytelling goals throughout the train station, we needed a natural way to deliver dialogue without it feeling too gamey or requiring tutorials. We noticed players often approached NPCs to get a closer look, so we turned that into an opportunity for the NPCs to acknowledge the player and deliver their lines. This kept interactions low-key, which was essential since the citizens aren't exactly too cheerful or lively.
Early tech planning. Shipping a game always teaches us a lot. We finally get to find out which choices we made were good ones, and which were ones we should do differently next time. So after Half-Life 1, when we sat down to start thinking about what kind of sequel we could build, we had all kinds of player feedback to digest. From it, we tried to build a master list of things that Half-Life 2 was going to focus on. We didn't try to design a specific player experience. Instead, we found it more useful to approach the question from a technological standpoint. Black Mesa's security guards and scientists had worked well. What could we do if we pushed it really, really hard on characters? We liked our interactive storytelling. What could we build that would allow us to do even more of it, and a greater variety? The exploration and interaction with the Black Mesa was compelling to players. Maybe a physics system would allow us to take that further. In all these areas, we tried to imagine the best version of it could look like years in the future, and back solve from that technological steps that might get us there.
Storytelling. Creating a sense of immersion was a core principle in our approach to Half-Life 1's storytelling, and it led us to the self-imposed constraints of never, or at least very rarely, taking control away from the player and of keeping the player's avatar silent. These limitations made storytelling more challenging at times, but we felt it was important to stay with them for Half-Life 2. Our hope was that by maintaining these principles, we'd push ourselves to explore deeper, more interactive storytelling.
Stop! Pick up that can. What are we gonna do?
Welcome.
It's Barry.
Welcome to City 17.
This must be a mistake.
Characters. In Half-Life 1, security guards and scientists could best be described as archetypes, not individual characters.
Kill him.
About that beer I owed you. It's me, Gordon. Barney from Black
Barney.
Mesa. Hey, sorry for the scare. I had to put on a show for the cameras. I've been working undercover with civil protection. I can't take too long or they'll get suspicious. I'm way behind on my beating quota.
Yes, Barney, what is it? I'm in the middle of a critical test.
Sorry, Doc, but look who's here.
Great Scott! Gordon Freeman! I expected more warning.
Yeah, you and me both, Doc. He was about to board the express to Nova Prospect.
Well, Barney, what do you intend?
I'm thinking.
Alex is around here somewhere. She would have a better idea how to get him here.
Well, as long as he stays away from checkpoints, we should be okay. Listen, I gotta go, Doc. We're taking enough chances as it is.
Very well.
Gotta get out of here.
Gordon,
Gotta get out of here.
to see you.
Okay, Gordon. You're gonna have to make your own way to Dr. Kleiner's lab. Oh, man, that's what I was afraid of. Get in here, Gordon, before you blow my cover.
Blocking tutorials. At times, we need to be certain the player has learned something, and the standard method, at least in game development, not in life, is to trap them behind a gate of some kind, where the player must demonstrate their knowledge to be able to continue.
Blocking tutorials too. There are two failures of note in this tutorial. First, players can break it by tossing all the boxes out the window, which is obviously not great. This leaves them stuck and unable to continue, which we consider a game-stopping bug that must be fixed. A clean solution would have been to tweak the window or crate sizes so that the player could fit through but not the crates. The problem was that we really only caught this problem late in development, and making even a simple change like that can have unpredictable game-breaking consequences, and right before launch no less. Also, this issue was purely theoretical. We'd never actually seen players do it. Our playtests of the design space had gone smoothly, with players learning what they needed and moving on. So changing the room's design this late in the game could have disrupted that success in ways that we couldn't foresee, so we opted for a more conservative fix rather than something elegant. If you're curious, try tossing all the boxes out the window and see what happens.
Okay. Window. In case. Let's get out of here. Let's do this. Oh. Oh, we respawn. Very clever.
Fall damage. Teaching players how to do things is an essential thing for the game to do, but for them to make confident decisions, they also need to understand the more subtle rules. This small moment covers two of those. First, it shows how far the player can fall without taking damage. Second, it introduces a bit of the game's vocabulary, how the game will communicate with them. Players often worry about taking fall damage, but they also worry about taking a step that they can't take back. So here, a welcoming crate to land on signals that dropping down is safe, and it's the way forward. Fall damage. Teaching players how to do things is an essential thing for the game to do, but for them to make confident decisions, they also need to understand the more subtle rules. This small moment covers two of those. First, it shows how far the player can fall without taking damage.
Contextualizing
Second, it
tutorials,
introduces a bit of the
creating
game's
a story
vocabulary,
scenario in which they
how
happen.
the game will communicate
Lets
with
us
them.
do more than just stop
Players
the
often
game
worry
to teach
about
players
taking fall
something.
damage.
About
Taking
value
a
to the
step.
moment.
Blah, 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 blah.
Here, teaching the player how to
a
throw
welcoming
objects
crate
is
to land
combined
on
with a narrative
signals that
setup
dropping
that gives
down
them
is
a
safe,
choice.
and it's the way forward. And when the crate breaks, it reinforces the physics simulation, and is likely the first time players will see that larger objects can be broken apart.
Hello? Ah!
Do our benefactors really know?
Playtesting. Playtesting is a core part of how we make games. We can never fully predict how players will respond or what they'll take away from what we've built. So we test to learn and hopefully improve. During a playtest, we don't guide or talk to the player, even if they're stuck, as it's extremely unlikely that we'll be sitting there next to the player once the game ships. Our goal is for testers to forget that they're playtesting altogether and play as if they're at home. Any interruption.
Early in a Half-Life game, one of our goals is to make promises to the player, giving them a sense of what to expect later on. From movies to TV shows and books, All great entertainment does this in some way, and video games are no different. The promises in a Half-Life game can take different forms. Some are simple, like
the Citadel. We wanted the player's first view of City 17 to highlight the Citadel and its dominance over the city,
Whoa.
representing the Combine's complete and total power over humanity. It also needed to serve as a clear goal. Even at the start, you can see where your journey ends. But despite its massive size, playtesters often missed it. A player's sense of depth and scale.
Exploration. After being herded through the train station by Metro cops, we wanted to give the player a chance to explore. This plaza offered several ways to interact.
Playtesting Anecdote 1. One memorable playtest reminded us that we can never be certain what players are thinking or what lessons they've taken from their experience. This tester, after playing from the start and stuck trying to open a door, spent several minutes going back and forth between the game and the keyboard settings. When we asked what they were looking for, they said they were searching for the inventory controls, thinking they could use an item they'd picked up earlier to unlock the door. While we'd seen them collect and drop several physics objects, they'd misunderstood what was happening. The tester believed that pressing the use key while holding an object moved it into an inventory because the item dropped straight down. We knew it was just gravity, but their assumption wasn't crazy. Some adventure games of that era did slide items into an invisible inventory that way. We explained there was no inventory, and the playtest continued. Later, we considered whether we needed to address this, but since no other playtesters had the same confusion, and all of our potential solutions were more heavy-handed than necessary.
Strider. This simple moment is a promise that you'll encounter this enormous thing later in the game.
Where is
Even
it?
an uncomplicated
Did I miss
scene
it?
such as this really does require a lot of playtesting and iteration because of Half-Life's goal of not taking control away from the player. As you can imagine, it takes a lot of small tweaks to ensure that as many players as possible are looking at the right place at the right time here.
Not
The
me.
street layout and the Metrocop scene are all set to guide the player's gaze, perfectly framing the Strider when it appears.
Early game exploration. Up until this plaza, the player likely hasn't had to think much about their path, as it's been clear and straightforward. But here, we wanted to encourage exploration, which meant making the way forward less obvious, which can produce a feeling of being lost or, worse, confused, as you might expect. These kinds of shifts can be tough, especially early in the game, when the player is still learning the game's guidance cues. Here, it's further complicated by force-fielded checkpoints, which allow NPC citizens to move through.
Turn it up. Game, turn it down on OBS.
But restrict the player, leading many playtesters to believe that there was a way to bypass.
Or down. I think that should be good.
Past them. Ultimately, it was extensive testing that helped us find the right visibility for the alley forward, using lighting, layout, and a wooden crate, an object players have already used as a sign they're headed in the right direction, all to subtly guide them forward.
Closed captions. During Half-Life 2 development, we were approached by folks interested in accessibility who encouraged us to go beyond the subtitle system we had built for Half-Life 1. They requested a full-featured closed captioning system to capture all game sounds, not just dialogue. This turned out to be a much tougher challenge than expected. Half-Life 2 produced a wide variety of sounds, and categorizing them for captions was crucial. Prioritization was also key. Dialogue needed to stand out, and it had to be clear who was speaking. Ambient sounds, like distant combat, were important for setting the mood in some levels, but less so if there was an enemy shooting nearby. Our level designers also often reuse sounds in different contexts, so sound might require captioning in one area, but not in another. Ultimately, every sound in the game ended up with its own caption data, formatted almost like a small version of HTML, giving us control over the visual style of each caption. As with the audio files, the caption data was too large to keep in memory, so we built an asynchronous caching system to handle it efficiently.
Okay, nerd.
Physics simulation. Even though we began Half-Life with a functional third-party physics simulation, it still took us years.
Whoops.
Physics simulation. Even though we began Half-Life 2 with a functional third-party physics simulation, it still took us years of additional work both on the simulation itself and its integration into the game, until we felt like we could meet our designers' ambitions. Maintaining a shippable level of quality and performance was something we knew would be a challenge along the way, but the more subtle issue was actually figuring out what to simulate and to what extent. We can't simulate everything, and even if we could, there are game design reasons why the experience is better when we don't. In many cases, we deliberately bend the simulation to improve the player's experience. These adjustments usually go unnoticed because they align with player intentions. For example, we disable collisions between the player and large objects to let them turn in narrow spaces. Or we tweak the Combine rifle's alternate fire to gently guide the Combine ball toward enemies, making it more effective.
Oh, yeah.
Crate Baby.
Oh,
The
yeah.
small baby doll has a long legacy. During the long months of internal testing, some of the team turned it into a challenge, a way to make the 47th playthrough of a game a bit more fun. They'd place the doll inside of a nearby blue crate and see how far they could carry it throughout the game. After Half-Life 2 launched, the community started carrying Crate Baby as well, adding their own stories and rules to the mix. A few years later, while working on Episode 2, this was the inspiration for the Little Rocket Man achievement, where players had to carry a garden gnome dubbed Gnome Chomsky throughout the entire episode. Chomsky even made a comeback for Left 4 Dead 2 in the Garden Gnome achievement, where players had to carry him through the Dark Carnival campaign. These kind of interactions with players are some of the most rewarding parts of game development. We design games with theories in mind, but you never really know where things are going until players get their hands on it.
Physics Simulation 2. Areas where game design or other constraints impacted the physical simulation often required extra tuning to keep the simulation from blowing up. As an example, early on we experimented with increasing the simulation on the player entity, which is to say, make player movement much more a part of the physical simulation of the world. We knew this might make movement feel less precise, but hoped it could lead to some novel experiences. However, after tuning the movement to match the less simulated version, we hit a major problem. The physical force needed for the player to move at their usual speed was so high that simply running into other simulated objects could result in death from the impact. We iterated on it, but ultimately couldn't find a solution we liked, and reverted to the less simulated movement. However,
Perfectly
this wasn't
balanced.
exactly the easier path.
As
It
all
introduced new
things should
challenges
be.
with how the less simulated player interacted with the more simulated objects in the game. But it did allow us to deliver the precise movement experience we wanted.
Oh, yeah.
Playground. When we discussed ways to highlight our physics simulation around the city environment, the playground felt like the natural fit. And for players paying attention to Dr. Breen, it's also a reminder of the cost of humanity's surrender to the Combine. We chose a few playground structures with interesting physics potential and began tuning them. Even with the advanced physics simulation we had at the time, setups like this always required hand tuning, as we had fully simulated objects interacting with non- or partially simulated ones, such as the player or static world geometry. It might be easy to assume that a simulation can carry a lot of the load of implementation, but even now, 20 years later, that is rarely the case. Back when we were working on the playground, late in development on the game, we couldn't get the friction.
Frick.
Materials and shaders. Half-Life 2 came out in the midst of a significant shift in 3D graphics, where the industry moved from textures to materials and shaders. In Half-Life 1, every surface had a texture, essentially an image wrapped onto the polygons of the surface. But by Half-Life 2, just 5 years later, every surface had both materials and shaders. Half-Life 2 came out in the midst of a significant
GPUs, CPUs, NPUs, neural processing units. Turn down bit, turn down bit, turn down bit.
Cube maps. With the addition of materials and shaders, we needed a solution for reflective surfaces like glass and steel. These surfaces had to know what to reflect, but in 2003 we couldn't do any of that rendering in real time.
Nerd.
We developed the cube map system for pre-computed reflections.
Whoa.
A cube map is a set of 6 images on the inside of a cube capturing the environment in every direction.
Oh yeah.
Like a panoramic photo that surrounds you on all sides.
Oh yeah.
Level designers placed invisible marker entities throughout the levels, and during map compilation, we generate a cube map at each marker. Then, during gameplay, when rendering a reflective surface, we locate the nearest pre-computed cube map to create the reflection.
Field of view. In Half-Life 1, we used a 90-degree field of view, or
I think I'm on. Let's bump it up.
FOV, which was fairly standard.
What? That didn't... Didn't do anything.
For first-person shooters at the time. But during Half-Life 2's development, we grew unhappy with it. With our game's focus on characters, we'd put extensive effort.
Come on. Come on.
Into detailed
Oh,
facial
no.
and body animations. But the 90-degree FOV just didn't allow players to get close enough to fully appreciate that detail. So we began experimenting with a tighter FOV and ultimately landed on 75 degrees. It took some adjustment for both us and players, and it required an additional FOV for view models, which are the player's weapon held at the bottom of the screen. Their models were originally built with 90 degrees in mind, so they looked distorted at 75. But this change succeeded in doing what we wanted, putting our characters front and center in the game.
Instinct would inflict a fatal injury on our species.
Reference maps. As our characters grew more lifelike between Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2,
Whoa.
we wanted the game world to feel equal.
Missing textures. Missing textures.
In Half-Life 1, the limitations of first-person games often made it easier to lean on stylized or abstracted environments. But with Half-Life 2, we set out to create a setting that felt grounded in reality, which meant focusing on a lot of small
Missing
details
textures.
we hadn't before. One of our main steps was creating reference maps to standardize how
What is
we
this?
map real-world proportions into the game.
I don't know what
These
that's
maps
supposed to be.
establish details like wall and door dimensions,
You
doorknob
messed up,
height,
Valve. You messed up.
interior lighting, furniture scale, and the general scale of common objects. We created standardized textures for level design.
What's baked in? This
complete with
lighting that's
scale
baked
and lighting
in.
values. The layouts would be consistent from the start. Besides setting up the physical world, these reference maps defined how the player would move through it, how high they could jump, how low they could duck, and the size of spaces like vents. Using these maps as foundation, we were able to keep our world geometry consistent and ensure realistically sized spaces across the game.
Backface calling. Backface calling.
Missing material. Early on in developing our low-level graphics code, we realized it would be difficult to spot polygons that weren't rendering due to a missing texture. When this happened, you'd typically just see black where the polygon should be, which could easily go unnoticed in darker scenes. To catch this bug more reliably,
I didn't know that's where
another
it
texture
came from.
that would be visually unmastakable and
Black,
generated automatically
oh,
whenever
that's
a
crazy.
texture failed to load. This gave rise to the now iconic purple and black checkerboard texture, which has since taken on a life of its own well beyond Half-Life 2.
That's actually pretty cool. I wouldn't have known that had it not been for this commentary track. No need to cry. It's gonna be all okay.
The raid. The section ahead, where the Metro cops raid the apartment while the player is inside.
Hey, no spoilers.
To get right. Generally, we design Half-Life to let players set their own pace, since people move through the game in a variety of ways. Some players run, ignoring anything that doesn't seem like a threat, while others methodically poke at everything. So, whenever we need to force a specific pace, it's always a challenge to ensure players perceive that pace and naturally play along. Since this is the first time we do this, we had to put in a lot of work to make it clear to the player that they needed to move quickly. And
All right, here we go.
Here.
Time to get a move on.
The Raid 2. In addition to making sure the player felt the pressure to move forward, we had to ensure the raid itself was foolproof. There couldn't be any way for the player to avoid it or double back past the Metro Cop. The real challenge wasn't that players would try to break the scene, but that many would panic and run in random directions once they realized they were under threat for the first time. This moment requires a delicate balance. We wanted a heart-pounding escape, the sense of real danger, but we wanted players to make it through on their first try and feel like they escaped by the skin of their teeth. To achieve this, we kept the path ahead clear and reminiscent to the one they had just taken through the previous floor. A series of carefully placed triggers controls the threats appearing ahead and behind, maintaining the pressure while still giving players enough time to stay ahead of their pursuers.
Skibbity bathtub. Skibbity.
Head for the roof. There's no time to lose.
I need to run. I need to run. Go. 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 Ooh.
Get in here, quick.
I'm going. I'm going. I'm going. I'm going. I'm going. I'm going.
Health and no HUD. The rooftop chase sequence posed a unique design challenge. We didn't want it to be a true gameplay obstacle, and our best case was for players to make it through on their first try. But we still wanted to create the sense of real danger, where players felt legitimately threatened if they didn't keep moving. The challenge was that without the HEV suit, players don't technically have a heads-up display or HUD, which means no way to show damage or remaining health. After some experimenting, we created a special health system for this section, using a red glow around the screen to indicate damage. Players reacted as we hoped, taking it as a sign to keep moving, and the chase unfolded as intended. To top it off, we made health regenerate quickly so the glow wouldn't linger, reinforcing to players that running was indeed the right choice, and ensuring players weren't taken down by a stray bullet at the end just because...
Playtesting Anecdote 2. In the upcoming section,
Spoilers.
we needed the player to be knocked down so Alex could save them. With limited time and resources, we simplified the encounter as much as possible, reusing existing systems and letting it play out like a normal combat sequence, with a custom event triggered when the player died. After a few playtests to fine-tune the timing, we moved on. But as we got close to shipping, we encountered a problem with a playtester who quick-saved constantly and immediately hit quick-load whenever they thought they'd failed. When a Metro Cop hit them, they quick-loaded before Alex could step in, repeating this more than 10 times before we asked them to stop. At this stage of development, in the final bug-fixing phase, we had to limit ourselves to fixing only game-breaking issues.
You sound different, Alex.
Could risk breaking something more important. Knowing this was a rare edge case, because most players had no trouble, we made a few conservative changes. We shortened the delay between the knockdown and Alex's first line, and changed the fade-out color to white instead of black. Which
All my FOV's back.
Useful since players hadn't died enough yet to associate black with death. We considered disabling quick load for the few seconds that the scene plays out, but we were worried that could introduce a bug where quick load became disabled permanently.
I make it massive. Massive. Oh, that is massive. What's 100 look like? Let's bump it up. Let's go 105. Oh, that's crazy.
Alex. Nailing Alex's design was a big challenge. We wanted the player to both respect and care for her. Saving Eli was a key player goal midway through the game, and we knew that getting players to care about that goal would be easier if they also cared about Alex and her relationship with her father. We intentionally designed, wrote dialogue, and cast a voice actor for Alex to be savvy, capable, and relatable within the Combine-controlled world, while also making her attractive and charismatic. We aimed to avoid the objectification, exaggeration, and hypersexuality that many games of Assassin's featured, as we felt that would undermine our goals for her character.
Awesome. I'm gonna go bed.
This way, Gordon. I'm Alex Vance. My father worked with you back in Black Mesa. I'm sure you don't remember me, though.
No.
Man, a few words, aren't you?
NPCs on elevators. We often spend a significant amount of time solving problems that players might not even notice. Many of these are subtle design challenges, while others stem from multiple systems interacting with each other. For example, getting non-player characters to ride in elevators posed a complex problem because it involved various systems, NPC AI decision-making, navigation planning, and movement simulation, to name a few.
All things we take for granted today.
Its own simulation requirements unrelated to NPCs. One of the more subtle challenges came from the fact that we simulate NPCs at a slower rate than we simulate elevators. This meant that NPCs on a descending elevator would simulate to make sure they were properly standing on the elevator, and then the elevator would simulate a few times, each time moving further down the elevator shaft, subtly leaving the NPC behind. Shortly after that, the NPC would simulate a second time and pop itself down on the elevator floor once again. You can imagine that it was hard to take Alex seriously when she was constantly falling down in small increments while talking to you.
I must have undiagnosed ADHD. It's a possibility, it's a possibility.
Interactive storytelling. When we started on Half-Life 2, storytelling in games was generally either high fidelity and linear or low fidelity and interactive. We knew players had seen high-quality storytelling in games, but they'd never been placed right in the middle of it, able to watch it unfold around them, interact with it, and examine any part closely. While that goal excited us, we didn't yet know how it would work or what kind of technology we'd need to make it happen. We had built a variety of storytelling technology in Half-Life 1, but it was mostly presented in front of the player and lacked the interactivity and fidelity we were aiming for. So Kleiner's lab became the section of the game we used as a testbed to figure out how our interactive storytelling would actually function.
Funny, you showing up on this day in particular.
20th anniversary.
We've been helping people escape the city on foot. It's a dangerous route to my father's lab, through the old canals. Today, we're finally on the verge of having a better way.
Kleiner's lab. Kleiner's lab was the first piece of storytelling we worked on, and the one that took the longest to figure out. In addition to its role in launching the player into the game, it eventually became the unifying vision for the development team in terms of storytelling. As we began building our characters and narrative delivery around the player, many questions arose, all of which felt like major risks for the game. Would players be able to extract the important information from the scene? Could we get them to care about these characters? How would we support players with varying levels of investment in the story? How costly would it be to produce a scene like this? And how many more would we need? These and many more were questions we couldn't answer until we'd built enough of the scene and tested it with a lot of playtesters. Frustratingly, unlike many other problems we face, these weren't questions we could confidently answer until we had done significant work. We can often test gameplay ideas with low-fidelity prototypes, but if a player isn't invested in our storytelling when the characters are just...
Don't watch the point.
The system we built and iterated on to deliver Half-Life 2's storytelling was internally called choreo, short for choreography. Early on, we found it useful to imagine we were writing a play where one of the actors didn't know the script. We needed a system that could control all the other actors, moving them around the stage.
Interesting.
Delivering their performance.
FacePoser. The primary tool we built to power the choreo system was called FacePoser, an inaccurately named program that allowed our animators to lay out the entire structure of our scenes along a timeline. The timeline contained a series of choreo commands for the actors, along with all the necessary information for them to perform those commands. By layering these commands on the timeline, animators could easily describe how an actor might need to face one thing while talking towards another and walk to a different location, all at the same time. But the timeline wasn't a fixed linear sequence. Actors would follow their commands, but they had to respond dynamically to the world around them. An actor might take longer to move to a location if the player is in the way, or they might need to wait to deliver a line because another actor has been delayed by the player. Face Poser allowed us to rapidly iterate on scenes using different layout choreo commands. This debug visualization shows the two most common choreo commands actors receive throughout a scene, internally known as look-ats and move-tos. Actors are given targets to look at, sometimes more than one at a time, and then try to focus on the one that makes the most sense given their current state. At the same time, they might be receiving move-to commands, which tell them to move to a location and face a specific direction or object. Even these seemingly simple commands involve a lot of complexity. A scene might require an actor to talk while typing on a keyboard, all while looking at an object the player is holding. Since we couldn't predict where the player would be during playback, authoring scenes like this required us to break each element of the scene into separate pieces and layers. These could then be reassembled as needed during playback, based on the player's actions and interrupted if necessary.
You stirred up the hive. We can't keep him here long, Doc. It'll jeopardize everything we've worked for.
Don't worry, he's coming with me.
That's right, Barney. This is a red letter day. We'll inaugurate the new teleport with a double transmission.
You mean it's working? For real this time? Because I still have nightmares about that cat.
No, there's nothing to be nervous about.
What cat?
We've made major strides since then. Major strides.
What cat?
Doc, since he's not taking the streets, you might as well get him out of the civvies.
What? Oh dear, you're right. I almost forgot. Barney, I'll give you the honor.
I've got to get back on my shift, but okay. Here we go. Ah! Damn it, get it off me!
Whoa.
Lamar, there you are.
I thought you got rid of that pest.
Certainly not. Never fear, Gordon. She's debeaked and completely harmless. The worst she might do is attempt to couple with your head.
Whoa.
Ruthlessly.
Get that thing away from me!
Here, my pet. Hop up. No, not up there. No. Careful, Lamar. Those are quite fragile. Oh, fie. It'll be another week before I can coax her out of there.
Yeah, longer if we're lucky.
Barney, you're not an animal person.
Well, Gordon, go ahead.
Oh yeah.
Now.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Well, Gordon, I see your HEV suit still fits you like a glove. At least the glove parts do. I've made a few modifications, but I'll just acquaint you with the essentials. Now, let's see. The Mark V Hazardous Environment Suit has been redesigned for comfort and utility. Oh dear.
Doc, we don't have time for this. At least get that suit juiced up, Gordon.
Good idea. There's a charger on the wall. I've modified your suit to draw power from Combine energy outlets, which are plentiful wherever they patrol.
Meanwhile, let's get this show on the road.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, come on. Dr. Cleaner's...
Hold on.
Delivery. It took a lot of iteration and playtesting to strike the right balance of information and emotional connection in our major choreo scenes. Each scene had a lot of information we needed to convey to the player, but we couldn't just have characters spouting exposition. Players would start thinking of them more as signposts than as people.
Lab interactivity.
True.
In our choreo scenes, we have the player trapped for a bit, allowing us to focus on the characters and narrative. To accommodate different players, some deeply invested in the story, others unable to stand still for more than a second,
Me.
we felt like we needed a constant stream of interesting details on screen. We scattered narrative elements throughout the environment, ensuring some were interactive, essentially toys for the player to tinker with. In some cases, we embedded further storytelling into these, like the cactus mini-teleporter hinting at the upcoming teleporter failure. It was a delicate balance. Too much visual interest could distract players from the core of the scene. Ultimately, Kleiner's lab played it safe with interactivity, as it was the first major choreo scene. Later, in Eli's lab,
voice actors. To create more responsive and multidimensional characters in Half-Life 2, we needed to evolve our approach to working with voice actors. While running through a script with a modicum of direction was sufficient for much of the NPC dialogue for Half-Life 1, for Half-Life 2 we decided to give the actors more of an opportunity to be involved in helping to define the characters and bring them to life. We provided much more story context to the actors, showing them the game world, the environments their characters inhabited, and the other characters they interacted with. We sought actors
writing. In the Half-Life 1 era, player goals in FPS games were still largely about fighting and defeating an obviously evil enemy. It was hard to get players to care about characters when they were as low fidelity as they were in Half-Life 1. With the planned improvements in character fidelity for Half-Life 2, we wanted to take a
archetypes. We wanted to create narrative links between Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2 through our characters. Our idea was to design individuals who felt like representations of
character reactions. Figuring out what characters should react to and how was an ongoing challenge. At the core, we always want the game to respond to player input. However, any response from the game can be seen as a reward by the player. So, what characters react to and what
animation. Constructing believable human motion for our characters out of many discrete layers.
Tone. Setting the right tone for our characters and their dialogue was critical. We aimed for a respect.
This way, Gordon.
Gordon, why don't you position yourself near the panel over there and wait for my word?
Isaac, are you there?
Yes, Eli. Bit of a holdup on this end. You'll never guess who found his way into our lab this morning.
That's not who I think it is it?
Indeed it is, and it's our intention to send him packing straight away in the company of your lovely daughter.
Are you ready for us, Dad?
We're all set on this end.
Then let's do it.
Let's see. The massless field flux should self-limit, and I've clamped the manifold parameters to CY base and LT orbifall, Hilbert inclusive. Conditions could hardly be more ideal.
That's what you said last time.
Hey, yeah, about that cat.
Initializing in 3.
Oh, Schrodinger's cat.
1. Oh, fiddlesticks. What now?
I gotta pick up that plug.
Dear me, you're right. Gordon, would you mind plugging us in?
Monitors. We use monitors a lot for storytelling in Half-Life 2 in the episodes. So much so that we even make fun of ourselves for it. The problem is they're just too damn useful. They're fantastic for expanding the world by showing events happening elsewhere, and they provide an easy way to have characters talk without needing to explain how they all got to the player's location. Anyone who's ever written any kind of story, especially one with an ensemble cast, understands the unique frustration of trying to create natural reasons for all of your characters to come together in the same place. In this case, we were really happy with how the monitor allowed Alex to teleport away and then quickly appear in Eli's lab,
Spoiler.
making everything feel real and...
Alex's kiss. It's a small moment, but Alex's kiss on Eli's cheek was important. Eventually, we're going to ask the player to save Eli, and we want them to care about him. To build that emotional connection, we needed to show the warmth and effect.
Scene interactivity. At certain points in our choreo scenes, we require the player to take action, beyond simply...
Excellent.
You gonna let Gordon throw the switch?
Gordon?
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
Let's do this.
Very good. Final sequence. Commencing now. Did it work?
See for yourself.
Hey, Doc.
Thank goodness. My relief is almost palpable.
Fantastic work, Izzy.
Well, I can't take all the credit. Dr. Freeman proved an able assistant.
Let's go ahead.
You got that right, boss.
Right you are. Speak to you again in a few moments.
Good job, Gordon. Throwing that switch and all. I can see your MIT education really pays for itself.
All
Yeah.
right, Barney. Your turn.
Gee,
Yeah.
thanks.
Gordon, as soon as you're in position, we'll send you to Eli's.
And not a moment too soon.
Okay. Here we go. Beam me up, Scotty. Beam me up.
Excellent. Initializing in 3, 2, 1. Barney, if you'd be so kind.
Good luck out there, Gordon.
Yes, indeed. We're ready to project you, Gordon. Bon voyage, and best of luck in your future endeavors. Final sequence. The hell? What is it?
It's your head, the freaking head humper.
Lamar, heavy, no!
Oh.
There he is. Is Lamar with him? Forget about that thing.
Coming through, Dad.
What's going on, Julie?
I'm not sure.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Some kind of interference.
Gordon, stay put. We'll get you out of there.
Something is drawing
You
him
got a
away.
boss.
What's the meaning of this? Who are you? How did you
Dr.
get in
Freeman
here?
from MIT.
I'm getting him out of there. Can just wait in the field, and we'll peel you apart.
Just lost Gordon. What's going on?
I wish I knew. I'm encountering unexpected.
All right, let's do this, guys. All right.
There he is.
Hey, what's up?
Using it again.
The man I saw. I'm all but certain it was Gordon Freeman.
In the flesh.
He didn't come through.
Then where is he?
Hey, I'm right here.
Shut it down. Shut it down.
You must get out of here.
Run!
Down out of sight. I'll come find you.
Uh-oh. Run! Run! Gotta go fast. Gotta go fast. Run! Run!
Phonium extraction. Another critical tool we built in the Face Poser was the phonium editor.
All right.
At the time of Half-Life 2's release, most first-person shooters gave the player a gun or a melee weapon right off the bat, but we opted to start them empty-handed. Without a weapon, it was easier to train the player on the more novel ways they're able to interact with the world and introduce them to our story. We wanted the player to transition from fugitive to the aggressor, and arming them at the right time created that moment naturally. By the time they finally get a weapon, they're done running away. They say sometimes the best way to win is to walk away, but we all know that's not true. The best way to win is to run towards something while shooting.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Hey, Gordon! The Citadel's on full alert. I've never seen it lit up like that. Get out of City 17 as fast as you can, Gordon. Take the old canals, right? They'll get to Eli's lab. It's a dangerous route, but there's a whole network of refugees, and they'll help you if they can. I'd come with you, but I gotta look after Dr. Kleiner. Oh,
Oh man, wait, let me take a screenshot of it. Let's see here.
before
Let me.
I forget, I think you dropped this back in Black Mesa. Good luck out there, buddy.
Okay.
You're gonna need it.
Thank you, sir. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Dynamic mixing. During gameplay, many sounds are playing at the same time, but some are naturally more important than others, and we need to set the volumes of the sounds relative to each other to ensure that the important ones stand out. In a movie, this sound mixing is done as a post-process, but in a game, it happens real time, responding to the player's actions, so we can't predict ahead of time which sounds will play simultaneously. To handle this, all the sounds are grouped into types and tagged with priorities. Then during gameplay, the audio system monitors all the active sounds and lowers the volume of sounds in a group if a higher priority sound is playing.
Sidechain compression.
If the gunshots need to be loud in one scene, we can make them higher priority there. If a specific line of dialogue needs to be heard clearly, it can then force all the other sounds to drop in volume. And we do the same thing with music. It's a subtle but very critical system, and it just prevents the soundscape from becoming too cluttered.
I can see through the walls. Scan the area for any threats.
Bullet audio. If there's one thing we're sure of, it's that a lot of bullets will fly past a player throughout the game. So we spent a bunch of time
Hurry up, Kelly, hurry up.
The audio treatment for it. Unfortunately, bullets in the game are essentially instantaneous, so we can't just attach a sound to them and rely on the movement for positioning. So after some experimentation, we landed on this solution. By figuring out the closest point on the bullet's trajectory to the player's ear, we calculate the exact time and position the bullet would conceptually pass them. We then play two different sounds at that point to fake a Doppler effect, one for the bullet's approach and one for its departure. And we delay the departure sound based on the calculated time the bullet passed by.
Audio caching. Another problem we ran into was the sheer amount of audio in the game. With all the gameplay sounds, music, and dialogue, we had too much audio to be able to store it all in memory. It was at a premium in 2003. But as you can imagine, we need to be able to play sounds immediately, especially if they're gameplay related. So we built an audio cache, which stored only the first 125 milliseconds of every audio file and kept that in memory. That 125 millisecond time was our best guess for how long it would take us to be able to stream an audio file in from disk. Then, whenever a sound was played in-game, we'd play the start of it from our audio cache while simultaneously kicking off a load of the full audio file from disk. By the time our cache start ended, we'd have the file loaded and could continue playing the rest of the sound. There were some other minor features, like keeping recent sounds fully in memory so that high-traffic ones didn't need to be loaded constantly. In today's engines, all kinds of assets, beyond just sounds, typically use the same kind of strategy.
Oh, my suit, my suit, my suit. My suit. Come on, grab me.
Physics sound. Getting physics to feel right for the player meant that the sounds produced by physics had to sound right too. As humans, we're all used to how objects and materials sound during various interactions, even if it's not something we actively notice. While we knew we couldn't account for everything, we wanted to focus on the details that contributed most to making our physics sound realistic. We started with per-object sounds for collisions and impacts. This allowed an object like a wooden crate to have custom sounds when it collided with other objects or classes of objects. Next, we began dynamically modifying these sounds based on the characteristics of the physical event, such as the masses involved and the force of the collision. This worked great for collisions, but didn't hold up in other interactions like objects scraping against each other. In reality, a wooden crate makes a different sound when it scrapes against a wall versus when it's thrown against that same wall. Let me tell you, nobody has done more research on the nuances of a wooden crate's physical properties than us. To get what we wanted out of these interactions, we implemented physics sound.
I gotta jump over that. Ow, oh, oh, oh! Oh! Yeah, my God, go!
Automating DSP. All the sounds a player hears are processed through our Digital Signal Processing System, or DSP. And this just refers to how audio is altered to reflect the environment the player is in. For example, the same sound will differ when heard in a parking garage, a small room, outdoors. In Half-Life 1, we manually placed invisible nodes throughout the world
Convolution
to define these DSP
signals.
settings for each space.
Get the
For
impulse
Half-Life 2,
response.
we knew that manual placement was just going to be way too time-consuming, especially since we wanted a larger game, and we still only had one audio person on the team. So we built a system that automatically determines the DSP settings around the player in real time. It does this by analyzing the space around the player, assessing the volume they're within. It examines the materials that make up the environment, basically. And then the system matches that space to one of the 25 hand-authored basic DSP types.
Give me hell. Convolution. Reverb. About to hit you, boy. Gonna hit you. Oh, oh. Oh. God.
They'll be looking for you now. You'd better run. There's nothing else you can do here.
Metro Cop scene. This is another scene designed to make it clear that the Metro Cops are the bad guys, except this time the player has a weapon and can finally do something about it. That something comes out of the barrel of a gun. We knew we needed the player to feel righteous, and this moment was part of creating that. The Metro Cops are still human, unlike the rest of the Combine in the game, so we felt like we had to go the extra mile in making sure the player's actions felt like justice and not just wrath.
Bro, I swear to God, I used the ammo.
Ammunition depleted.
Oh my God, no. It's automatic.
Staircase. There are
Whoa.
situations throughout the game that stem from simple and quite straightforward design goals, and this staircase features two of them. The first was to frame the Citadel as it awakened, showing the player they stirred up the hive. The second was to showcase our ragdoll system. While it's standard now, in 2004 it was still a novelty to see bodies tumble realistically, and stairs provided a perfect stage to make that happen.
Haha. How loud is... Let me turn it in. Whoa, it does the reverb inside the room. How loud is it now?
Unidentified person of interest. Confirmed sources
City 17 awakens. The early train station section was designed to make the city feel indifferent toward the player, as if Gordon is just another nameless, faceless citizen, ripe for subjugation. But during the tenement raid and rooftop chase, the city identifies the player as an anomaly and starts to stir. Now, with the player as the aggressor, the city fully turns its attention on them. The Overwatch PA system, first heard during the raid, played a key role in delivering this message. If players listen closely, there's a lot of information about the city's awareness. Even when players didn't pay attention, though, the audio treatment still conveyed the emotional message we were aiming for.
Attention protection team. Status invasion in progress in this community. Response. Isolate. Inquire.
Okay. Let's see what's around these parts.
Attention protection team. Status invasion in progress in this community.
Explosive barrels. Here we introduce explosive barrels, a staple of first-person shooters, but with a new twist. The second pistol shot sets the barrel on fire, starting a timed detonation. A third shot will detonate the barrel immediately. This way players could either delay the explosion or trigger it right away depending on the situation. Players may want to feed an explosive barrel to a barnacle and then shoot it twice as a handy way to safely dispatch a cluster of them. The delayed explosion also made for more interesting chain reactions between multiple barrels. Exploding barrels were a fan favorite in the series, but also were internally favored by level designers who often felt like the game could never have enough of them.
Yeah.
Isolate. Inquire.
Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Do 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 do. Whoa. Whoa. Oh, I gotta jump up. Uh-oh. Gosh. Hey, up. Oh, yeah. Oh. Yeah. Oh, okay. Get in there. Come on. Break it open. Got him. Sarah. Oh. Running out.
Lambda caches. Technically, the first Lambda cache is at Kleiner's lab, but this is the first one the player finds on their own. We added Lambda caches to encourage exploration and to hint to players where hidden resources could be found, with a fiction being that they were being placed by the Resistance as part of their underground rebellion. In Half-Life, the contents of supply crates were predetermined by the level sign. In Shell 2, we introduced adaptive item crates, player whatever they are low on at the time.
Man, so many innovations that we take for granted in today's gaming world.
Scanners. Scanners presented a tricky game design challenge.
While we liked how their dystopian presence helped convey the Combine occupation as an oppressive surveillance state, we didn't actually want them to shoot at the player. We found that aiming into the sky to hit a small mobile enemy with a constant height advantage was something we couldn't make fun. Since we loved their role in the story, we decided that in combat, scanners would serve primarily as eyes, alerting nearby enemies to the player's presence, a feature we reinforced with sound effects from the soldiers. Beyond that, they'd only be able to harass the player with bright lights and occasionally dive.
Overwatch. During the we generated the Overwatch voice using a free text-to-speech tool, but as we neared shipping we realized we didn't actually have the rights to use it, so we held auditions with voice actors to find someone who could match the qualities we liked in the generated lines. Didn't take long before we found Ellen McLean, whose delivery was exactly what we were looking for. In her sessions, we played the generated lines for her to mimic, though in her own style. She was a bit sarcastic at first, given that she was being asked to replicate such a robotic delivery, but years later when she returned for her iconic role as GLaDOS in Portal, she'd found a way to creatively integrate that tone into her performance.
Very good. Where's the supplies? Supply. Yeah.
Pistol design. The standard pistol is the workhorse of the game, functioning not only as the first range weapon you learn to use, but also as a method to interact with physics and destructible objects at a safe distance for the entirety of the game. To help make it feel more responsive and fun to use, the pistol employs a refire mechanic that's unique to it in the game. The gun will fire as fast as the player can click their input button, meaning that they feel an instant response to their input, and the faster they can click, the faster they can shoot.
Oh yeah. Run. Take shelter. Get in. There's no. Oh, don't get hit by the train. Oh! Oh man. No. Yeah. Whoa.
Shatter glass. When designing early levels where there are fewer mechanics in the player's toolkit, we found that it's just as engaging to spotlight new technical features instead, as we did here with breakable glass. For the shattering effect, glass was divided into a grid of small squares, allowing us to track which were intact or broken, and to blow out larger sections once enough squares were no longer connected. Each square was rendered with a unique texture based on the status of its neighboring squares, creating the sharp, jagged edges between broken and intact glass. While breaking glass is now commonplace in games, it was something we hadn't seen much back when we were making Half-Life 2, and we're incredibly happy with the level of fidelity and dynamicism it brought to the game.
You can't hit me. You don't even know me. You can't hit me. Come on. Yeah. No. No.
Helicopter Peekaboo. The Combine attack helicopter as central antagonist was something we wanted to develop throughout the entire chapter. The relentless chopper became a character in its own right. Here, if you listen and look overhead, you can hear its engine and see it flying along the train tracks and into the distance. This first glimpse is a small piece of foreshadowing, with its presence becoming more pronounced over time, until eventually you're squaring off against it.
Hey, let me get some more help. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, you're stacked up. Oh yeah. Hey, let me see. F6. Oh yeah. Response? Whoa. Attack helicopter.
Iterative passes. Some chapters of the game, such as the on-foot sections of the canals in Ravenholm, were developed in multiple passes by different cabals. We found that handing off maps in this way led to greater variety in the experience, and a higher density of interesting moments, as each cabal added their unique touches to the maps. In the on-foot portion of the canals, the first pass established the art direction and the player path, along with the broad strokes of the experience and some major beats. But the team-wide alpha playtest identified insufficient tension and a somewhat monotonous experience here. In our second pass, we returned to the map solely focused on creating that tension and greatly increased the density of moment-to-moment scenarios.
Why did it stop? Okay.
Water shader. The most complex shader we made for the
Bruh.
game was the water shader, which made full use of the newly available programmable graphics cards. When water was present, the scene was rendered 3 times. First, the underwater world for refraction, second, a reflected view, and third, parts above the water. When rendering the water surface, we blended the refractive and reflective views, showing more reflection at glancing angles using the Fresnel equation. We also
Fresnel.
the depth below the water's surface,
Fresnel.
more transparent and less refractive in
Wink,
shallow
wink.
areas. Additionally, we had to create 2 alternate water rendering techniques for lower-end graphics cards. Mid-range cards displayed a lower detail reflection without refraction or transparency, while low-end cards only rendered a partially transparent surface.
RTX 4090 low end.
Interstitial scenes. As playtesting progressed, we often found areas where players lost track of their goal, which isn't uncommon in a game like Half-Life. To address this, we added smaller interstitial scenes to help guide players along their path and reinforce their objective.
Box.
For you, huh? Good thing you found us. You're not the first to come through here by
This is the free man. The Combine's reckoning has come.
Look, we're just a lookout for the Underground Railroad. Main station's right around the corner. They'll get you started on the right foot. Meanwhile, let my Vortigaunt friend here give you a jolt to get you going.
Yeah, give me a... Suit me up.
We really can't afford to get noticed. Civil protection catches you down here, it's bad news for the whole railroad.
We serve the soul, the century.
Boxcar Bill. This small scene originally featured 2 human characters, but later in development, we replaced one with a Vortigaunt. We wanted to show that Vortigaunts were coexisting with humans and resisting the Combine as well. We also introduced their ability to heal the player, although we didn't fully capitalize on that feature throughout the game. Vortigaunts became a useful narrative tool for keeping dialogue brief, as their hive mind justified their full knowledge of the world and the player's goals. This meant they never had to ask questions, neatly sidestepping the challenge of writing dialogue for a silent protagonist.
Gordon Freeman. Here we go. Run!
Particles. For the source engine, we invested in expanding particle and special effects technology. This allowed for more realistic and complex particle movement, as well as more intricate shapes and shader effects. In particular, adding bump mapping to our particles features made a huge difference in the volumetric look of them. While later iterations of the source engine include a powerful particle system editor, the original version used in Half-Life 2 relied on handcrafted effects, each requiring a programmer to meticulously build the effect manually, which was a pretty labor-intensive process.
Oh. Oh. Got save.
Barnacle Introduction. Because barnacles can be confusing when first encountered, we wanted to introduce them in a way that showed players their behavior at a safe distance. We decided to do that through a nature show style predator-prey scene. But, as always, scenes like this took a lot of iteration to get players to reliably see.
Surface properties. We play custom footstep sounds when the player walks on the slippery mud. This was a system called Surface Properties that used the material type to determine the sounds and other effects that should occur when walked on or shot at. Earlier in the
Mounted gun gallery. There are a few things going on in this scene. The turret firing at the breakable crates behind teaches players not to take the threat head-on and instead utilize the sewer route to defeat it. And when they reach the turret, players enjoy using it in a shooting gallery with a wave of Combine soldiers and dive-bombing scanners. We also begin to introduce the missile-firing Combine APC.
Save. Whoa! Oh my. Alright, reload. Oh. Oh. Oh, I have power. Oh, that's dark. Oh, yeah, that's dark. Safe.
Station 12, come in. Station.
Oh, safe.
We heard 12 go down and out. Surgical strike units are targeting railway stations. Repeat, civil protection is coming down on underground stations. We're already getting refugees from 9 and outlying. Looks like we're...
You copy? Station 8, are you there? We have confirmed reports of manhacks. Repeat, they're filling the underground with manhacks.
Give me that. Save. Ah. I gotta shoot that at. Hey, come on. Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Eh. Oh. Oh. Oh God, I'm about to die. Give me up, give me up. Get me back up. Oh, ow, ooh, ow, ooh, ooh. Well, that sounds down. I gotta run. Save. Yeah. Save. Oh, okay, I got my power back, okay. Run.
Over here!
Alex.
Friend, that station was raided, but there's others up ahead. I'm gonna stay here in case any others come through. Gotta keep the railway alive.
Oh. Nice try. Nice try. Ow. Oh. Nice try. Nice try. Go, 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 go. There. Save. Save.
Running around a corner into a new area just to see enemies standing there is always awkward, and it makes the world feel less alive and more like a shooting gallery. So we were motivated to introduce enemies into combat spaces in more interesting and dynamic ways that would communicate planning and intentionality on their part, as if these soldiers had had a plan for Gordon even before he showed up. The Metro Cops in this scene jump down into this space via scripted sequences, and later in the game we use rappelling in a similar way. doesn't matter where they're coming from in reality because players end up telling that story to themselves. We found that in the end, combat should have a story implied in its setup. Ambush, surprise, surge, and assault. All of these scenarios use much of the same enemy AI, but all felt different to playtesters.
Alright. Alright. Dude, give me out. Give me out. Oh!
Barnacle bowling. This is a satisfying example of how a bunch of design elements can come together in a matrix of interactions to create a memorable scenario for the player. We got barnacles, our physics simulation, slippery mud surface properties, and last but not least, explosive barrels. You've encountered all these on their own, but they're able to snap together naturally to create a moment we called barnacle bowling.
Yuck. Yuck. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Man, I love this game. Okay, go down. Oh. Oh, get down. Oh. Where? Save. Oh, shit. Save. Oh, sprint is power.
Physics in puzzles. Often, simpler mechanics encountered earlier in the game are pulled from more complex ones as a form of training. The teeter-totter puzzle, the first physics-based contraption
Playground.
in the game, was actually derived from a later, more intricate washing machine puzzle in the canals.
Seesaw.
The teeter-totter uses the same principles of mass and ramps, but in a more straightforward way that players can directly interact with, helping them understand the game's physics and making later puzzles easier to tackle. This puzzle also highlights the analog nature of the physics system, with the placement of cement blocks and the player's own weight both factoring into the solution.
Teeter-totter. Oh, so cool. Uh-oh. Hello.
Combine attack helicopter. Players have had glimpses before, but here's where we fully introduce the main boss of the Canals chapter. This chopper relentlessly destroys a player's cover, forcing them to move forward or risk being gunned down. We wanted this sequence to feel tense and menacing, with the helicopter seeming far too powerful in front direction. And maintaining that intensity through the canals until the final showdown in the reservoir. To achieve this, we heavily constrained the helicopter's movement based on specific gameplay goals. In this map, designed as a dash from cover to cover under helicopter fire, we created a ring path in the sky above the arena. The helicopter always travels to the farthest point on that ring from the player, keeping it visible and making it easier for us to place cover in just the right spots.
Oh.
Normal maps. Half-Life 2 was developed during an exciting time for graphics, as the first programmable shader-supported graphics cards were hitting the market. Using this technology, we became one of the first games to implement normal maps, a technique that enhanced the lighting on surface geometry. The normal map described the surface's roughness, allowing each pixel of a polygon to be lit in a way that made surfaces appear bumpier and more detailed than ever possible in Half-Life 1.
Yeah.
Normal maps. Normal map. Normal maps. Half-Life 2 was developed.
So cool, so cool. What was down here? Oh. Get it! Over there.
Autosave dangerous. In Half-Life 1, we had a set of autosaves throughout the game, hand-placed by level designers and triggered when the player reached some specific moment or position in the game. This ensured that the game was automatically saved for you as you traversed through Black Mesa's corridors. In Half-Life 2, we found ourselves needing a new tool. The problem arose in some of the more complex arenas we'd built. Some of those encounters would last for quite a while and features multiple sets of enemies. Others were long, sprawling mixes of exploration and combat without any clear separation between the two. We never want an autosave where the player is in danger of dying right after loading the game, because that could place the player in a death loop. If you played enough games back then, you definitely found yourself in this situation at least once.
Oh, yeah.
So unless we deliberately crafted pauses in every arena's flow, there wasn't always a safe place to put an autosave. After some experimentation, we implemented a feature called Autosave Dangerous. This was a level designer tool that combined an autosave with an associated time frame. When triggered by the level designer, it immediately saved the game, but kept the save off to the side, not available as a save game to load from. If the player then stayed alive for the specified time frame, then the save would be committed and used as the most recent autosave. This allowed level designers to put an autosave at a reasonable place or time in an arena, specify a time, like 30 seconds, and if the player was still alive for 30 seconds, the autosave would be used.
Soundscapes. In Half-Life 1, ambient sounds were placed by hand and then individually tuned. For Half-Life 2, we wanted more ambient sounds in our environment with higher quality and less...
Higher quality and less. Interesting. Who goes there?
Autosave dangerous. In Half-Life 1, we had a set of autosaves throughout the game, hand-placed by level designers and triggered when the player reached some specific moment or position in the game.
Soundscapes. In Half-Life 1, ambient sounds were placed by hand and then individually tuned. For Half-Life 2, we wanted more ambient sounds in our environment with higher quality and less manual...
Higher quality and less manual.
Get in here, hurry!
I'm coming, I'm coming.
The railroad covering our tracks. Looks like you're gonna be the last one through. Be glad you're not the guy they're looking for. Poor bastard doesn't stand a chance. Sounds like they're calling in every CP unit in City 17. Now they're flooding the areas up ahead with manhacks. You better get going before they sweep through here. Oh shit! Too late!
No!
Thanks for your help.
No problem.
It isn't safe here. I'll give you some supplies to keep you going, and you really gotta go.
Manhack Map. We called this guy Manhack Map. We wanted to give players the sense that hundreds of citizens inhabited the hidden nooks and crannies of City 17. At this point in the game, it had been a while since players had seen a citizen, and we wanted to explain the significance of the manhacks, which was the first physics-based enemy that we created. In the original concept, there was a video arcade in the city where players could fly manhacks around to attack virtual citizens. Eventually, players would discover that the manhacks were real, and so were the citizens. As the Combine occupation became more fleshed out, this idea of a video arcade became an odd fit and eventually fell by the wayside.
Yeah. Oh, that's not good. Right here. Oh. Oh. It fell. It fell, I mean. Oh no. Oh no. Give me up. Give me up. I wanna go up. Oh no. Whatever. Okay. You got it, boss. Uh-oh. You can't get me. Oh! Oh, what the? Took damage. Give it. I'll save all my ammo. Oh yeah. Get him on. Get in there. Get me in here. What's this? I don't think I found this in the original. I first played it. A super secret area. With stuff to get. Stuff to get. Super secret fence. Oh! Yeah. Came out the place I just went from. Oh yeah, Hawkeye. Oh yeah. Oh man. Oh. Oh. Getting out of my way. Get out. Oh, I got a bomb. Oh. Oh. I can sprint in the crawl space. Alrighty. See here. Ooh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Oh, huh. Yeah. Oh, I have no oxygen. Oh. Oh. Interesting. Right. Where do I go? Where do I do? I killed. I gotta walk on this. Go, 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 go. Oh! It's hot. Don't get it. Secrets. Underwater. Underwater. On the other side. Submachine gun. Let's go. Friggin' go. Go. You got it, baby. You got it. Go get it. Come on. Come on. Come on. Oh. Oh, 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 oh. Yeah. Oh, yeah, oh, oh. Alt. Oh. Oh. Give me my health back. My ammo back. Too early. I did it too early. I got 99 health. You can't take it. You can't take it. You can't take.
Explosive Barrel Factory. This room, filled with an absurd number of exploding barrels, inspired some good-natured debate within the team around how far to push the plausibility of our world. Frankly, one exploding barrel is probably too many in regards to realism. In the real world, barrels really shouldn't explode, even if you were to shoot them.
True. I'll get up here. Oh! Hey, yeah, 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 yeah. Oh no, man. Oh no, man. Oh. Oh no. Oh no. Save. Valve. Back up. Come on, let's do this. Yeah, man. All right. Let's go down this way. There we go. Oh. Oh, now I can go through the other. Maybe. Oh. Ow. Ooh. Ooh. Eh. Ow. Eh. Ow. Ow. Ooh. Ooh. Ow. Ooh. Red light. My back. Oh, my back. And my crack. Where do I go? Water shaders. Water. Water. What? Let's go back up. Whoa. Water. I don't know. Where? 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 I'm lost. Dead air. Dead air. Back this way. Down there. I didn't know I could go down. Up, go, up, up, up. Oh, see if there's anything else out there. Nope. My God. Yeah. Whoa, why am I sinking? God. Go jump. How do I do this? Why can't I jump? I can't like. Jesus.
Rising water. The floating bridge and wooden spools here introduce the concept of buoyancy as a tool.
Yeah. City 17.
Rendering systems. In the early 2000s, we couldn't afford a general-purpose renderer with the broad capabilities of a modern engine. Instead, CPU, GPU, and memory limitations required highly specific solutions to rendering challenges so we could squeeze every bit of performance out of a player's hardware. As a result, Half-Life 2 actually has 3 different rendering engines.
What?
For world geometry,
3 different rendering engines.
and a third
That's
for
crazy.
dynamic entities like characters and objects. These 3 renderers had to support a complicated matrix of features: collisions, ray traces, decals, offline
Ray
lighting,
tracing.
visibility calculations, and more. On top of that, each renderer needed to support DirectX 7, 8, and 9.
Wow.
The differences among these DirectX versions were significant, often requiring different data storage and rendering approaches. They even used different programming languages.
Oh my God.
We essentially had 9 different renderers, each needing unique solutions, and getting them all to look consistent was one of the most challenging
God. Nerd alert, nerd alert. Nerd alert. See. I hear ya. I hear ya. Where you at? Where you at? Oh! Just moving away. Stop getting moving. It's down there. What? I'm gonna clip that. Ah! 9 different rendering engines. 9 different rendering engines. Nine different. Oh. Save. Pick it up. Save. Okie dokie. Okie dokie, mean. Oh. Alright, don't kill me.
Radiation levels detected.
GPU Wild West. During development, we faced numerous decisions influenced by our choice of minimum spec, the least powerful CPU and GPU combination that would still deliver a good experience for customers. In the early 2000s, there was far more variety among GPUs than today, with wide differences not only in speed, but in fundamental approaches to rendering. But at the time, we had no real data on the hardware our customers were using. What CPUs and GPUs did they have? How much RAM? Which version of Windows?
RAM.
We reached out to Microsoft hoping they might know answers to questions like, how many DX7 cards are in use? Or DX8? Unfortunately, they didn't have the data either. Realizing we were at risk of making bad decisions without these insights, we developed an analysis tool that allowed players to report their hardware specs to us and integrated it into the early version of Steam. The data was so useful that we decided to make it public, launching the Steam Hardware Survey in April 2003. It's been helping us and hopefully other developers make informed decisions ever since.
Truly, pioneering, innovative.
Hey, you're Freeman, aren't you? We got word you were coming.
I'm coming.
Time.
Oh yeah.
East to Station 6. Do you read? Dr. Freeman is on his way downriver. Lend him the airboat and give him all the help you can. Repeat, Gordon Freeman has returned. It is critical he reaches Black Mesa East.
Better get going now.
Dynamic shadows. With a focus on character and physics objects, we felt a dynamic shadow system was necessary to render them all in all their glory.
Oh yeah.
In 2003, GPUs didn't have any dedicated shadow capabilities that they have today.
Oh no.
So performance was a tricky problem. Our eventual solution went something like this, running every frame. First, find all the objects that might have shadows in view. Doing this meant figuring out which objects were in the view frustum, or slightly behind it, to catch entities that were off-screen but whose shadows might end up on-screen. Then we'd render a black shadow version of each one of those objects into a single shadow texture. For that render, we'd use the lowest level of detail model for the object to be as fast as possible. Finally, we'd use the shadow texture to draw each of the shadows into the player's view, darkening the already rendered pixels. We carefully cut around each shadow in that shadow texture to ensure that they correctly overlaid each other in the case where multiple shadows overlap. It's neat to look back on how we did these things, but ultimately we're a lot happier today, where GPU hardware makes it a much more straightforward problem.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Head crab canisters.
Used headcrab canisters are seen later in Ravenholm, so we decided to show them here to tell the story of how they're used by the Combine. The story is that the Combine have weaponized Zen fauna to use them against the humans. Burrowed headcrabs was added as a new feature for this section that was expanded into a larger area that is meant to show a citizen shanty that was decimated by the headcrab assault.
Oh my. Watch out now. Oh, oh, they can dig. Ow. Ugh. Watch out now. Watch out now. Go get me. I do it. Oh. Don't step in it. Don't step in it. Look at that. Oh, oh, oh. Ooh. Oh, ow. Run. Wake up. Ain't no time for a nap. Ooh, ooh. Well, they all died. Say, oh. Oh. Too late. You're too late.
Hey, Dr. Freeman. I've been hoping you'd show up. Got this airboat all gassed up and ready to go.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Be tough dodging civil protection out there in the open.
This is the best part of the
Drive
game.
hard and you'll make it. You'll find more help up at Station 7. Just a few bends up the river. It's the old red barn. Climb on in. Fire her up.
Airboat intro. This is where the player gets the first vehicle of the game, the airboat. We wanted to create a safe space for players to practice driving the
Combinatorial shader explosion. Rendering became much more complex during Half-Life 2's development with the addition of hardware shaders, small bits of code controlling how each pixel on a surface should render. In 2003, shaders were far more limited than today. Half-Life 2 era shaders lacked conditionals and had severe code size restrictions. This meant no if-else branching logic to adjust based on different conditions.
Ah,
and
yes,
no
of
large
course.
shaders with broad feature sets.
Yes, yes.
Also, compiling shaders as needed was just too slow to be useful, so we had to pre-compile them. To work within these limits, we had to compute every possible shader combination and store each one individually as its own shader. For example, if a shader affected a surface based on a single light source, we'd need another shader version for 2 lights, another for 3, and so on. And it was combinatorial. If that shader also supported a normal map, we'd need 2 versions per light, one with a normal map and one without. With features like texture blending, vertex tinting, specular highlights, alpha testing, and various other light types, directional point and spotlights, our shader count exploded. By release, we had thousands of individual shaders. Shortly after, we released Lost Coast, adding HDR support, which doubled the shader count again. Once compiling shaders on the local developer's machine started taking too long, we switched to distributing the shader compiles over the entire network using VMPI. We also had a dynamic shader compilation mode that was useful for developing shaders that gave fast turnaround at the expense of frame rate hitching when a shader had to be compiled.
Climb on in and fire her up.
Get on in now. Get on in.
Go ahead and get in the boat, Dr. Freeman.
Right. Whoa. Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go. Oh.
Fighting motion sickness. In early playtesting, many players developed motion sickness while driving the airboat. While trying to fix this, we discovered several factors that contributed to it. We found that reducing the intrusion of the airboat into the view helped, so we made several passes on the model to pare it back. Maintaining a consistent frame rate helped as well, so it was important to keep an eye on performance in these sections. However, the single most important factor was eliminating view roll to maintain a more stable horizon no matter what the airboat was doing. One of the programmers on the team was super prone to motion sickness, and they valiantly offered to playtest several times to test our progress towards a solution. I'm pretty sure they threw up at least once after playtesting,
Whoa.
and their noble sacrifice was hugely appreciated.
Water. 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 Oh. Go, go, go. Before the helicopter comes. Ow. Yeah. Ooh. Go, go, go. Uh-oh. Give me that. Mm, 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 mm. Mm. Mm, 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 mm. Man, good times playing this game. Home from school, winter break. Good times. Whoa. Yeah. Save. Oh. Oh. Oof. Oh, get around. Oh, oh, oh. Go. Go, go, go. Bro, I love this sky. Oh, 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 oh. Yeah, I gotta get off here. Yeah. Yeah. All right, here we go. I remember this place. Gotta use this ammo.
We now have direct confirmation of a disruptor in our midst. One who has acquired an almost messianic reputation in the minds of certain citizens. His figure is synonymous with the darkest urges of instinct, ignorance, and decay. Some of the worst excesses of the Black Mesa incident have been laid directly at his feet. And yet unsophisticated minds continue to imbue him with romantic power, giving him such dangerous poetic labels as the one free man, the opener of the way. Let me remind all citizens of the dangers of magical thinking. We have scarcely begun to just as we have finally begun to see the light. If you see this so-called free man, report him. Civic deeds do not go unrewarded, and contrariwise,
Grenade intro. We conceived of this Combine base as both a training area and a playground for grenades, introducing them here in infinite supply crates to signal that it's safe for players to use grenades freely without fear of running out. Go wild. The Combine encounter here uses extensive markup to direct the soldier AI towards cover and provide good opportunities for players to make use of grenades. At the end of the area, the same infinite grenade technique helps players resolve the turret placement, as a direct assault is a lot more difficult if you don't. A bright red light and a particle trail were added to the grenades, making it significantly easier for players to follow their trajectory, whether they're throwing them or dodging one from a Combine soldier.
Where are the grenades at?
Air resistance. One important feature we had to add to our physics engine for Half-Life 2 was air resistance. At the time, physics engines would typically implement a general damping feature for slowing objects down as they moved, but this merely removes energy in a symmetric way. In order to create more believable motion, we decided to simulate air resistance instead. This allowed us to get asymmetric behavior, where the amount the object was slowed by moving through the air was different depending on how much surface area of the object was facing the direction of movement or rotation. This feature was key to making explosions and objects thrown by the gravity gun look believable. Fast-moving and fast-spinning objects are among the most expensive things to simulate in Half-Life 2's physics engine, so air resistance also improves CPU performance in cases like explosions. It is also key to presenting different materials and masses of objects. More dense objects can push aside air more easily, and this is visible. Having this effect in the simulation helps make the difference in density between cardboard boxes and wooden planks more apparent, and really helps.
Wow. Eat that. You won't see it coming. Oh god, I'm low on health. Run. Eat that. Oh, here they come. Eat this. Eat this. Amsterdam.
Puzzle layers. Because players are often totally unaware of the designer's intent, which we think is a good thing, they tend to respond in all kinds of surprising ways to our puzzles. Even seemingly simple puzzles can see countless failures along the way to success. That was the case with this puzzle to open the canal gates, which required many layers of hints and cues. The sparking wheel communicates that this is where someone would normally open the gate, but some other method is needed. A few crows draw the player's eye towards the solution, in this case, a bundle of girders on a pendulum. As grenades have been thoroughly introduced, we originally wanted players to throw one to break the wooden support structure, but that wasn't obvious enough. We added exploding barrels as a much clearer clue. But even after solving the puzzle, some players didn't realize that the gates were now open, which led them to endlessly explore the base interior looking for another exit. So we had to remind them of their original problem, the broken gate. We added smoke, the alarm klaxon, and a spinning light, and it was then that we finally started seeing reliably good results in playtesting.
Uh-oh.
Remaining units contained.
Oh, we're gonna die. We're gonna die. Two health. Whoa. I gotta find my health. Ooh. Ooh. Any more health? Any more? I can do it. Oh, my leg's going numb. Oh. All right, come and get me. How do I scope on this? Z. Oh, I've been taking a bunch of screenshots. Oops. Whoa. Whoa. Z zoom, Z zoom, Z zoom. Let me get some more. Chill out. I wanna hear what I have to say.
The initial design of the airboat levels aimed to challenge players with tight maneuvers under pressure from Metrocops. The Metrocop strafing fire pattern was meant to make players slalom around the shots as they sped through, but in our review process, internally known as Overwatch, some playtesters felt frustrated being shot at without a way to retaliate. They wanted the airboat to feel powerful and unstoppable. Based on that feedback, we refocused the levels to emphasize empowerment over challenge, shifting from dodging attacks to fast-paced combat, speed, and busting through barriers.
Ah! I saw that coming right at me. I was like, okay. This way. This way. I was supposed to dodge that. Oh, I'm dead. I'm dead, man. Oh, my audio's about to blow up. Okay. Charge my... Jesus. Freaking... Switching earbuds. Come on. Bunch of followers on Blue Sky. What the heck? Like a bunch of people from like the synthwave space, but I haven't really been following any synthwave or listening to any synthwave in like the past 3 years. Okay. Anyways. Oh god, that's loud. Turn it down. Whoa. Oh. Oh, good. Turn it up in OBS. Turn it up. Oh. Ow. I'm not looking. Ow. Oh. Am I supposed to go over there? Ah. I'm safe. Oh, I gotta jump it. Oh. Wow. Wow. Yeah. LeBron James. Safe. No! I pressed the wrong button. LeBron James. LeBron. Oh, 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 God. Oh, oh. I shouldn't have pressed the button though first time. Ah. Man, it's messing up my flow. Messing up my flow. Oh. Left turn, left turn, left turn. Oh. How am I supposed to dodge that? Because I can't. It's always this one right here that hits me every single time. I should do a quick save. I'll do a quick save next time. Oh. Ow. How do I dodge those? Ow. Oh. 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 Save. Yo. Ow. I need help. Oh, yeah. What's the point of that? What's the point of this?
Skybox.
Whoa.
We've always needed to render a world that feels larger than our map limitations allow. In Half-Life 1, we used a cube map texture to let players see beyond the playable area. But in Half-Life 2, we wanted that view into the larger world to be dynamic, not just a static texture. Our map size limitation was about half a mile in each dimension, but we realized we could create a much larger outer world if we stored it at a reduced scale. So, we invented what we called the 3D Skybox. The 3D Skybox is a small box hidden within the actual game map containing geometry at 1/16th scale. Inside it, a reference point corresponds to a matching origin in the main map. Then, when we render the space beyond the playable area, we use the geometry from the 3D Skybox, positioned by that reference point and scaled up 16 times. Getting the lighting and fog to blend seamlessly across the transition from the main map to the Skybox presented some sticky challenges, but it worked. The result made the world feel significantly larger and more immersive than it had in Half-Life 1.
Cool.
.357 Intro. The Magnum, unlike the basic handgun with its slower rate of fire, is meant to be fired in a more measured, calculated way, dealing catastrophic damage to your target. Earlier versions of the Magnum had a bit of random dispersion, which we felt fit the heft and the less sensitive trigger pull of the larger pistol. However, this led to anticlimactic moments where players would carefully line up a shot only to miss due to the accuracy penalty. To address this, we made the first bullet perfectly accurate, with each subsequent shot becoming less accurate as you blasted away.
Let's do screenshot. Let's see here. L. Oh wait.
BMPI. During development, we became increasingly frustrated with our slow gameplay iteration speeds, mainly because map compilation, needed to pre-compute lighting and visibility, was taking hours. Computers in 2000 were far slower than today's, and they had only a single CPU core each. Inspired by SETI at Home, a distributed program that used PCs worldwide to analyze radio waves for signs of extraterrestrial life, we built VMPI, which was our own distributed system that spread the map compilation process across many office computers. Today, these kinds of distributed systems run on giant GPU clusters, but at the time we just ran it on all the computers in our office. To deal with how our lighting code was evolving as quickly as our maps were, VMPI also distributed new exe files to everyone's computer too. In retrospect, this was a pretty terrifying security concept, just awfully bad. It's like the stuff of nightmares for IT folks, because we were sending an arbitrary executable to all of our work PCs and they would just run it. It was absolute madness. But it worked for us, and it did significantly increase our map iteration speed, and as a result, it ended up being a crucial tool.
Nerd alert. You're on it. Leroy Jenkins. Just okay. Oh. Go, go, go. Okay, here we go. I'm missing all these shots. Can't miss any more shots. God dang it. Leroy Jenkins. Here we go. Oh my god. Oh my god. Just give me the friggin' shot. Give me the friggin' shot. Oh my god. I hear ya. Oh! Oh my. Oh my. Oh, headshot. Oh. Oh. They can't hit me. I can't hit me. Oh, yeah. I'm feeling it now, Mr. Krabs. I'm feeling it now. Some more health. I just love this game so much. Who's gonna stop me? Oh god. Ah. I feel so powerful. Oh, yeah. Okay, watch out now. Watch out now. Take a grenade. Take a grenade. Run! Hmm. Oh! Ooh.
Mounted gun. The mounted guns were added here to help train the player on the gun's effectiveness against the attack helicopter for the final battle in the reservoir. This was necessary because up to this point, the helicopter was invulnerable to the player's weapons, and we had to give some indication that it could be harmed with larger weaponry. This was only somewhat effective in playtest due to the amount of pressure the player was under at the moment, which led us to developing the particle effects and sounds that would sell to the players that they were really doing damage.
Oh. Okay. Oh. Not again. Oh no. We're gonna go. Oh, yeah, go. Save. Save. What's to say?
Helicopter bombing. This is another example of us creating movement hazards while driving the airboat. The helicopter attempts to stay in front of the player when dropping bombs, and if the player backtracks, it switches to hovering and turns to attacking the player. In one playtest, a bomb just so happened to drop between the pipe seams, creating a pretty cinematic moment. The playtester had a positive reaction, so the team decided to script it so it happened every time. This process has become part of our organic design process. Every so often, a cool thing randomly happens in a playtest.
Happy
Way
accidents.
to make it happen more reliably.
Get on over. Get on over. All right. Get in the hole. Get in the hole. Go, 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 go. Oh! What just happened? I don't know. No! Ow. Uh-oh. Oh, 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 oh. Watch out. Oh. Oh. Wrong way, wrong way. Ah. Ooh. Yeah, come on. Ow. Don't mess up my flow. Don't mess up my flow. No. Well, I think I gotta park it in. Go, go, go. $360. Ooh. Ooh. Okay, okay, let's go. Okay, get out. Get out, 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 out. Back it up. Oh. Wow. Wow. Oh. Hey, let me go look at this. Wait, what's this say? Hold on. Hold on. What does this say?
Smokestack collapse. When making a cinematic action game like the first Half-Life, we'd always wanted to make some big, spectacular destruction sequence, but we were never quite able to do anything like that. Half-Life 2's physics introduced a system for breaking physics small objects, such as crates, into pieces, which provoked the idea of doing something much bigger. We took a leap and tried breaking a smokestack into pieces as it fell. So we experimented with the masses until it felt better, refined the model, and added lots of smoke and audio to sell the effect. And there we had it. We had our big spectacular destruction moment. Ultimately, our physics made the sequence just barely possible in a way that maybe seems quaint by modern standards, but felt really awesome at the time. Because of every time we ran it, we had to take steps to avoid completely blocking the player's path with the big chunks of debris. The success of this sequence whet our appetites for the much higher fidelity cinematic physics destruction effects next seen in episode 2.
Spoilers.
Smokestack collapse.
Go. Oh. 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 Load, 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 load. Yeah.
Displacements 2. Once the initial terrain system was up and running, we expected level designers to use it for outdoor spaces. Instead, they began experimenting, adding detail in unexpected places. They used the subdivided quads on the top of walls to create ruined edges, rounded off street curbs, and even heights. This met with varying success since the terrain system was designed for landscapes, not architectural detail. So we returned to the code mines, transforming the height-based terrain system into a fully 3D displacement system. Now, instead of only moving grid points up and down, designers could move them in any direction. This allowed them to add extra detail to all kinds of surfaces using blended textures to smooth transitions between the displacement quads and the BSP geometry. However, this required additional tech work to ensure consistent lighting between the two renderers, or those edges would have been noticeably mismatched. But with all this done, the level designers seemed Displacements 3. With the general displacement system in hand, level designers didn't stop at adding detail to the world and returned to their original goals of building large-scale outdoor sections. This led to another round of updates to balance performance, ensuring the system could handle both fine detail and larger ground terrain. Texturing had to improve as well, especially to support complex structures like overhanging cliffs that weren't possible with the original height-based system. Designers, never one to rest on their laurels, also started using displacements to create caves and tunnels. While these additions looked great, they required even more technical adjustment. Eventually, we managed to wrangle the competing requirements of all the ways that displacements were being used, and they shipped in large sections of our game world. Looking back, Displacements are a clear example of how technology and game design evolve together. It's a chicken and egg problem. We can't foresee all the ways a piece of tech will impact the game, but we also can't build the tech without knowing what it needs to accomplish. So, as is always the case, we have to build something. We start with a solid guess and see where it leads us. Displacements 1. After Half-Life 1 shipped, our level designers and artists wanted a better solution for outdoor environments, so we built the first version of our terrain system. It was based on subdivided quads. To visualize this, imagine a flat square divided into a grid, where each point on the grid can be moved up or down. Level designers could lay out multiple squares and then use a paintbrush tool to shape hills and valleys by adjusting the grid points. For rendering, we used a special
Charlie Brown
texture, which combined two different textures. Each grid point specified how much of each texture to use, allowing smooth transitions between surfaces like sand, grass, dirt, and gravel. This type of terrain system wasn't unusual in game engines at the time, and we naively thought it would be enough for our game designers.
Washing machine puzzle. We created the washing machine physics puzzle late in development, after playtesting indicated that players needed some downtime from the relentless pressure from the helicopter. Pacing contrasts like this can accentuate the high moments by resetting the player's emotional state and warding off exhaustion or even boredom. It was a positive sign that players reacted so strongly to all the work done to make the helicopter truly menacing. But if we didn't manage the stress of it, fatigue set in, which quickly started to feel like monotony rather than excitement. Originally, players quickly drove through this area, but because of the nice sunlight and composition of the canal here, we decided it was a good spot to pause the action and have the player spend some quiet time solving a puzzle. The puzzle itself, which was the first to use masses and pulleys, ended up giving rise to other physics navigation puzzles elsewhere in the game.
My God. My God.
Aren't you?
Well, I wouldn't believe it if I couldn't see it with my own eyes. Dr. Gordon Freeman himself.
You're just in time, Doc. We gotta move out before the Combine picks us up. We're just getting ready to pull out.
Gotta tear down this camp and get out of here.
Greetings to the Freeman.
Come on in. I'll show you what you're up against.
All right.
Here, take a look at this. This here's the dam. It's just up ahead. Eli's hideout is here, a stone's throw from the apron and nestled in the old hydro plant. But getting there, with that hunter chopper on your ass, next to impossible. Good news is, the Vortigaunt's working his magic on your airboat, so you'll have a little more firepower going forward. I think he's just finishing up now. Go on out.
Gestures. Each of our characters
There we are. That gun came off one of the same hunter choppers that you're up against.
Oh.
Take that chopper down, and you should be able to tear on through to Eli's place.
The Freeman will accept this weapon or suffer greatly on the road ahead.
Farewell, Dr. Freeman.
Yeah. Let's friggin' do this.
Airboat changeup. We heard from the playtesters that they wanted more varied gameplay from the airboat. Up until this point of the game, the player had no real way to fight back against the helicopter and other enemies, so it felt right to introduce a new weapon and in turn deliver a pacing change and set the
Ah.
stage for what in the subsequent
Ow, 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 ow.
target practice to acquaint people with their new weapon. Extra physics force on the airgun projectiles meant targets would get sent flying and make it feel way more powerful than anything in the player's loadout. Even then, when it came to playtesting combat against the helicopter, a lot of testers still thought it was invincible and hadn't noticed our efforts to illustrate that it was taking damage from the Combine-mounted guns earlier. To get over this, we did the most obvious thing. We put the helicopter directly outside the tunnel in which you get the gun and make it extremely clear that you can and should shoot it. And it worked.
Out of my way. Out of my way. Ow. Out of my way. God dang it. Ah. Ow. Ow. Oh, don't. Oh my god. So anticlimactic. Ah. Somehow. Ow. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Donkey Kong Barrel Ramp. This particular area, the drainage ramp, originally started as just an interesting piece of level architecture. But during playtesting, we quickly saw how fun it was to slide the airboat up and around the slope, so we added more elements to enhance that experience. This included Metro Cops dropping barrels down toward the player, and a little nod to the classic arcade game, Donkey Kong.
Thank God. Ugh. Oh. Okay. Calm down. Everybody just calm down. Calm down. Everybody. Oh. God. But I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. I'm gonna finish up this boat part and then, yeah. I don't hear anything. Who was I? Oh, yeah. Nope, something's messed up. I have no idea what happened. All right, I'm ending it.